It is a struggle to get to the bonus this week, but here we are. Welcome to the freaking after party. Today's two-headed amphibian hybrid is reserved exclusively for our Patreon supporters, which is you. We just had a whole conversation that I had to rein us in so that we could have it for you. And I think we're going to talk about Canada. You know what else? Okay, Canada.
Let's do it. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, Canada.
Sure.
So
yeah.
I, as a child, went to Tim Hortons as you did growing up in Canada, and I really liked the peach juice. Do you remember the peach juice?
Yeah, right.
That was like, there's something very childhood memory for me about that disgusting sugary nightmare peach juice drink, and cinnamon mini ones.
Timbits?
What are they called? Timbits. Those were it. That's my thing. When I think of
Anita, don't make me take your citizenship away for not knowing what a Timbit is, not for forgetting what the Timbit is. That's
it. And then when I see oh my God, my brain, a Tim Hortons, like as an adult, they look like nightmares. Like they just look like the
design is terrible. Yeah.
They're like, they have like they're like Starbucks now, in that they have like 500 million things that you can buy. And I'm like, we just want donuts and shitty coffee. Like that's what happens here. You know,
have they gone through like the minimalist design transformation as like a Taco Bell that used to be like poppy and like, yeah, you're here at Taco Bell. Like what do you expect? And now they're like kind of sleek. They look like banks.
They had a phase in like the 80s and 90s and early 2000s where everything was brown. It was just like a brown phase of design. And now they've kind of updated their colors to be a little bit more like red, gray, a little bit more modern anymore? Look. I think there's still some old school ones around that are like, have not let go of that, the Halloween colors, if you will, the fall colors of the place. But a lot of them, they keep trying to update themselves for sure.
Tons of food hard flip now to CanCon. We're still staying in the Canada world. If you feel comfortable talking about this, I think this is kind of interesting. So you are Canadian. You moved to the US to help your career, but you do so much filming in Canada. So you like moved here so that you go back to Canada all the time.
Well, this is the irony of it. I would say 50% of me moving to Los Angeles was to find work in the United States, you know, like big budget fun jobs that pay in American dollars. And then the other 50% of the reason I moved here was to give myself better casting back home in Canada.
Ooh.
Oh, we lost you. We were doing so good for a while.
I know. We didn't have like any hiccups.
Bye. You're gone. Wow. We're like really gone.
Kristian?
Hello?
Flick the nub if you can hear us.
All right, this is over. We're done now. Yeah, like super gone. Bye, buddy.
Wow. Anita, I save all my R-rated content for the bonus episodes.
Oh, great.
That's not true, but I did save an R-rated content for this bonus episode. And if Kristian comes back, my apologies to everyone. But when I was using a Google Cardboard, which like I had to plug my Pixel into at the time. Oh, yeah, we did lose Kristian. There he goes. I was showing a coworker. We were working on a digital marketing thing. So like trying to figure out, okay, I'm playing around with this like app. I'm trying to learn it. So I showed it to a coworker, and the VR experience was interrupted by me getting a text of my friend sending me a picture of Jason Priestley naked. Still frame from the movie Calendar Girls. I think that's what it was called. And my coworker, like I basically accidentally digitally like sexually harassed him by letting him see my phone.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I'm just taking this moment to hold space for that memory and apologize to my buddy Jean, who seemed to be cool with it, but it seems like Canadian content that I could say for the bonus.
Is Jason Priestley Canadian?
Is Jason Priestley Canadian?
Look, I left Canada when I was 15, y'all. What the fuck do I know about Canada? I did go back for 2 years as an adult. The thing is that what's really funny to me is that like, you know, I think that it's actually really important that, you know, like the Canadian government has sort of mandated that Canadian productions have to have a certain percentage of Canadians involved and like to help make sure that they're take care of their own, you know, whatever. But there is energy that Canadians have that that like, because we're the little sister, of America. Right. Like we're always in the shadow of America, and we can never be as good or big or whatever as America. And so like there's this like defiant, like, but we are better than you energy. And you're like, okay, but like barely, like barely, like, yeah, you have healthcare, like universal healthcare, but like barely. Like, yeah.
Well, how Canadian is Jason Priestley? He has directed several Bare Naked Ladies music videos.
What?
So yeah, I think I've now run out of all of my Canada knowledge, and
that's it. What about Celine Dion? You had did you know her, and who else is Canadian? Joni Mitchell.
Michael Mitchell's J. Fox Canadian. I'm a big fan of Michael J. Fox. We'll sprinkle it. I'll sprinkle some more.
Mike Myers.
Yeah.
The other guy, he grew up. Well, I'm not going to say this. No, it's a bonus. I don't care. The guy who, famous comedian, liar.
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey. He's Canadian.
Well, and I alluded to her several times in the main episode, but I am a big fan of the Simply Nailogical YouTuber, and she's Canadian and.
Avril Lavigne. So I'm really like dragging my
Avril Lavigne. The
what other great bonus.
Wait, who's the other like country? Damn.
Oh, Shania Twain.
Shania Twain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you go into so Indigo Books is a chain of bookstores. If you go in there, there's like a list of all the Canadians that have ever been famous for any reason whatsoever, like written along the walls. Or maybe that was just one of them. You missed. Hello, Christian. Welcome back.
I'm so sorry.
Literally, this conversation devolved into us just listing famous Canadians. So we can completely uninteresting.
Amazing. Wonderful. Yeah. Your audience must be so happy right now.
They, I didn't know that Jason Priestley was Canadian. So
yeah,
and you
missed and he's a big time director. He directs a lot. Oh wow.
Yeah. No, not him. Not Cat. Cat harassed somebody digitally with a naked picture of Jason Priestley.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, you missed it. Sorry.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm sorry I missed it. That's like a really fun time. I blame T-Mobile for going down all of a sudden, but I've reset everything and hopefully it's all good.
Well, great. And we're almost done. So, perfect timing. But you were saying, we kind of missed what you were saying. So I was asking you about living in the US, but working in Canada.
Yeah.
Do you want to, I'm curious about
that.
Sure.
So there's a ton of American stuff that shoots and stuff from all around the world that films in Canada, because like I explained a little bit earlier in the podcast, you just get more bang for your buck with your dollar or your euro or whatever your currency is when you come to Canada, because ours isn't worth as much. So there's also, as Kat mentioned, some government programs that, there's tax incentives that you get money back if you, hire locally and bring production into Canada. So there's all these incentives and all these reasons to produce in Canada, and a ton of stuff is produced there. So, Toronto and Vancouver are the big film cities, film and television cities, but then Montreal is getting a lot. Winnipeg and Calgary also has a lot of filming, and all these cities are getting tons of jobs created just from all the work that's coming up from the States, especially. For example, if you're a producer in the United States and you want to produce something, you could spend, for every dollar you would spend producing in, say, an expensive city like LA, but has tons of infrastructure. If you went to Toronto or Vancouver, you're kind of spending only 25 cents per dollar when you factor in currency changes, like anywhere from 25 cents to even like 50 cents. But the deal is much greater. And you've got these great crews that know what they're doing. They work constantly. They're top of their game. They're excellent. And you have really good actors as well, because so many of us work on all these shows. Every once in a while you might get an out or about, slipped into the dialogue and you might have to fix that in ADR afterwards. But
have you had to do that?
Yes. For Handmaid's Tale, I think I had an out or an about in one line, and I had to go and just re-record that one word, basically.
Wow. Have you had to so when you, I know Canadian, accents. There's like a million American accents. There's various Canadian accents. Like when I go to Edmonton, or the last time I was in Edmonton, I was like, why does everyone sound like chipmunks? Like, I don't understand. Like, I was like, did I used to sound like this? Like, it's just regional, right? Like in Toronto, it's not as
There's not
it's
much
as
of an accent,
strong.
but we do say out and about and house and sorry
Sure,
and
sorry,
words
yeah.
like that kind of give us away. And we say
So
a
do
a
you
lot.
have you had to like
I trained it
consciously
out.
not?
Yeah, I got rid of it. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The voice that I normally use day to day, and even on the phone with my mom or whoever, I'll still say mum.
Mom,
That's
yeah.
one that I'm yeah, mum, MUM. But I trained it out, and at theater school we had to get rid of it, and they said, if you want to book any work in America or on an American show shooting here, you got to have an American accent or a standard North American dialect, the SNA. So we like really trained it out of us. And even to work on a Canadian show, they want you to have an American accent, because then they can sell it to the States. Americans hate a Canadian accent for some reason. They really love to make fun of Canadian accents. And I'm like, have you been to Alabama? Have you heard some of these other accents that you guys have?
I think it's so like, I think that's a really interesting point of there's like this standard accent that is accepted as like the American accent, which is LA, right? It's like, it's California, right. LA because of Hollywood.
Right.
But that like America has so many different accents. Like the different southern states all have different variations. There's they're amazing. But Minnesota. New England, Minnesota, like there's so many accents.
New York. I mean, the city of New York has like each borough has a different accent practically.
And so it's such ethnocentrism.
How did we end up so boring? Yeah. Anita, like, I don't understand. Canada is just kind of just the same, except for like Newfoundland and obviously Quebec and like a few other places.
Yeah, it is. There isn't as much variation in Canada, but there's a spectrum of the accent, and it can get higher.
Is Newfoundland is all the way at the east?
Yeah,
it sounds.
It's an island up in the North Atlantic.
It sounds super British to me. Like when
it's very Irish, actually. It's all Irish immigrants, and they're closer to Ireland than they are to Toronto or Ottawa, for example. Like it's way up there in the North Atlantic. And the accent there, I've been to places in Newfoundland where I couldn't understand what the person was saying. And I had to take like a voice memo and record it and listen back to it later. It's the most amazing accent, and I'll butcher it, but I was checking into an Airbnb in, I think it was like Twillingate, Newfoundland. I was like way in the north, and the lady was explaining things about the Airbnb, and she was just like, "Oh, you can drink the water in the taps if you want to, but you just got to let it run. Let it run." I was like, "What?" I was like, "You can drink the water from the tap if you want to. You can drink the water in the taps if you want to, but you got to let it run. Got to let it run for a while." So I was just like, "Oh my God, this is part of Canada." And I find that stuff fascinating. Like I'm jealous that the US has so many accents, but it's and the further away you get from the capital of Newfoundland, St. John's, the thicker it gets, and it's an incredible accent. But generally the Canadian accent's kind of boring. So I had to get rid of all that before working in this industry because people don't like to hear it, which is kind of sad to me.
There is a documentary about professional cat shows. I cannot remember what it's called, but it is like set in Eastern Canada, and it's like Best in Show, right? But it's a real documentary, and it came out like 5 years ago, and it's about cats, which is weird, right? They don't do tricks the way that dogs do,
right? Of course,
but it's great because you have people who are like basically like Arctic deep sea diver. Like there are these rural people, and they're like, well,
like I'm fishermen on the East Coast and whatnot. Yeah.
And they're like, I'm going to go to Moncton and show my cat. And I was like,
so my family is from New Brunswick. So my family's from that same province around New Brunswick. And my mom's been out of New Brunswick for over 40 years now, maybe 50 years. And she still has like parts of the accent there, like really hard R's, like car and bar, things like that, like almost pirate sounding. Like Nova Scotia is kind of where all the Scottish immigrants first came. And so there's a little bit more of a Scottish accent to parts of that, but they've got this weird, like piratey hard R thing going on with, I'll see you down I'm going to take the car to the bar, but don't worry, I won't be driving drunk or nothing. Like they've just got like this kind of piratey, like thing going on, which it's very mild, but I really, really dig it. That East Coast accent is kind of mild, but But yeah, no accent for me, just, good old boring standard North American dialect, but it allows me to work. So, I work a lot in Canada, usually on American productions, but because I'm a Canadian citizen, it's kind of a tax benefit for the US production to hire me up in Canada, because I work as sometimes a local, depending if it's in Toronto, because I can, stay with family there, or just in general hiring a Canadian citizen, because due to union rules and tax credits, you have to hire a certain amount of Canadians. You can't just take advantage of tax credits and the Canadian dollar and just move your whole crew up. You got to hire Canadians as well. That's part of the incentive to bring the work. It creates jobs. The film industry is a huge job creator in Canada, and it's very good for our economy, and I'm a big fan of it. I love working on Canadian productions. I love working on US productions. I love working around the world, but I always love going back home to film, because it's home and it's comfortable and it's different than here, and I really love it. So yeah, to answer your initial question, I'm down here in LA because I do want to work on big American productions in America and around the world, but I also want to have better casting back home. It's almost like an optics thing. People are like, oh, he's in LA, he must be a really serious, good actor, compared to someone back home, when the truth couldn't be farther from the truth. Truth couldn't be farther from the truth. Wow, what a saying, Bruun. But I have so many friends back home in Canada who are like phenomenal actors, and just either don't want to live in the US or don't want to spend the 5 to 10 grand for a visa, and then move their butts down here. It's a huge upending process to build a life down here. It's different than just, if you're from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you were in a really good in a high school musical and you want to go and make it as an actor, you can just move to LA and just start up. But here you got to like change all your banking, change your insurance. You got to figure out the medical system here for the first time.
And you can't just
insane.
get like a visa like that. Whole process is a nightmare.
You get turned down for them. Like it's a whole thing, and it's costly, and you got to really save up for it. So, a lot of Canadians and people from around the world come to LA for more opportunity, because you can make good money but you always want to return home and be a part of the culture there as well. So that's important to me, working in both places. Yeah. That's a long answer.
Yeah, that's okay.
Sorry.
This bonus has been a little ode to Canada.
a little
speaker's corner of Toronto.
Speaker's corner.
Corner.
Speaker's
corner.
Kat,
I mean, we grew up on much music. We're just getting deep Canada here.
That's okay.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
deep Toronto specifically, right?
Deep Toronto, yeah.
I've seen Degrassi.
Sure. Yeah.
Perfect.
As we all have.
I mean, Drake started on Degrassi, so as good old Aubrey.
That do impress
Aubrey
me much.
Drake. Yeah.
All right, y'all.
Wow.
Thank you for joining us.
Nice Shania reference. Thank you for having me.
Bye.